Let's listen to this.
And I'm further believing that because I think it's weird that they won't even release the footage, this grainy footage of the guy walking up the stairs. Why do we have one static image of that? Does that make any sense to you? Why are they all static images? Release the video. When I had first looked at this video and then they said it was, I was like, that doesn't look like the same person, like ish, but like, no. And that feels intentionally grainy. You could release clearer footage. You know you can release clearer footage. So do it. Because we're not going to let it go. I now believe there is a federal level of corruption and conspiracy involved in this murder, okay? From George Zinn to Lance Twiggs, the unanswered questions were like, what was he doing at home? What does he do for a living? Did they see each other that night? Why are we doctoring their messages? Why can't I read Lance's messages? If he's being so forthcoming, why can't I read how he replied and at what time these messages were sent? Okay. There are too many things that the feds can easily do to dissuade us. Okay. And they're not doing any of it. They're just doing that thing, which is like, are we still talking about it? No, now they're actually doing the like, this is inappropriate. Charlie's funeral's coming up. Right now. Okay, stop. This is exactly no. Oh, you're inappropriate. No, you know what's inappropriate? Charlie Kirk getting shot. While we all had to watch that, we are all suffering PTSD and the lack of answers that we are getting from the feds. That is the only thing here that is happening that is inappropriate. I want to be very clear. Actually, not the only thing. Bibi Netanyahu trying to spin this into he's my good friend. I just invited him. Well, Tucker Carlson completely shredded that narrative. I don't like that Bibi lied so quickly. It doesn't make me comfortable. I don't like it. Okay. And he just went live yesterday. He also brought in Megyn Kelly and other people. And he spoke about what Charlie was going through because he saw him very shortly before his assassination. And he intimates to everybody what it was exactly that was on Charlie Kirk's mind and what he was living through in that moment. Take a listen.
I was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country, immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. And by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not the same as the nation of Israel at all. Bibi is despised by many people in Israel. And if you know people who live there, you know that that's true. There are huge divisions within the Israeli government. I mean, there are certain parts of the intel world in Israel that do not support some things that Benjamin Netanyahu has done recently. So it's not the same as attacking Israel, attacking Bibi. But I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue. Charlie didn't hate Jews. He loved Jews. He had tons of friends who were Jews. He loved the state of Israel. He loved going there. He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noticed. But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent to a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course, many were supportive, but the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died. 2 days before he died, he lost a $2 million donation because he had publicly pledged to bring me to the next Turning Point conference in December. And he told me over the past couple of months he was losing a lot of donations over that pledge. They put out a flyer basically saying that I was going to be at this event giving a speech. And so he would text me and say, man, I'm really taking a lot of heat for this, and people are really mad. The American Jewish Committee called in a statement Charlie Kirk an anti-Semite and, quote, dangerous. Charlie Kirk, an anti-Semite. Yeah. He was not an anti-Semite. He was the opposite, and he was not dangerous. He was a great lover of people and a purveyor of peace. He was the opposite, and he was very stung by that. Those of us who've been called names for a long time are a little bit harder to offend. Charlie was deeply offended by that and expressed some of those feelings on Megyn Kelly's show and in other places. But that did not let up. The reason I'm telling this story is because he called me and then came to see me at my house about this topic. And I said to him every single time, look, I've got my own way to communicate my views. This is actually not the most important issue to me. There are lots of things I can talk about. I don't need to come to Turning Point. I can take a year off, no problem. I hated seeing how much he was suffering, the hassle he was getting from people, and I was being attacked too. By the way, it was a huge effort. I wasn't fully aware of it, actually, because I don't go online that much, but there was a huge effort by people, some of whom I know and have helped, and like Seth Dillon of the Babylon Bee, for example. Someone who had his own problems with free speech, who was famously canceled. And I like Seth Dillon. I had him on a couple of times. I had dinner with him to show support. Seth Dillon was out there demanding that Charlie Kirk take me off the roster, pull me off stage, because I had said things that Bibi didn't like or that he didn't like or whatever. Shocking that someone whose whole persona is wrapped up in the idea that we all get to speak, and if you don't like it, make a more compelling case. That person and many others like him were advocating for me getting pulled off the stage because they don't like what I'm saying. This is a trend, and one that we should be really concerned about. It's not just about Israel, by the way, at all. The trend is really simple. People with power don't want to hear disagreement. They don't want to be challenged, ever. That's why we have free speech, to acknowledge that even those of us or people with less power still have a right to talk because they're human beings. You don't own them. So time after time, Charlie would call me or come to see me and let me know, wow, or show me text messages. These people are really mad that you're speaking. And I would always have the same thought, like, I feel pretty moderate, actually. I've never been an Israel hater. Obviously, I'm not an anti-Semite. I just don't want more wars. And I don't want a foreign country humiliating my country and telling us what our laws have to be. I mean, this seems like pretty basic America First stuff. And he would say, I totally agree with you, but they want you off the stage. And I would always say, no problem. And he would say, no, it's important. It's a matter of principle. I want you to be there. Great. By the way, I'm not accusing anyone of being involved in that murder. I'm not trying to mutter darkly or imply anything. There's a lot we don't know about who murdered Charlie and why, but I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I think it's important to say that out loud because it's a fact, and there are many liars out there trying, Bibi Netanyahu, number one among them, shamefully, who are trying to distort the truth, a truth that I know and can prove.
It's clear that Candace Owens and Carlson are not happy, especially on matters of Bibi lying, that he loved Charlie Kirk so much. And most people have this problem of lying, that when someone dies, he becomes a saint. And most even people who hated him, people who try to destroy him when he's alive, who try to get it out when they loved them. And this is one of the cases that I would say that Charlie Kirk and Israel or Bibi and his sponsors are behaving or doing right now. You see that yesterday, Carlson came clear in saying that before Charlie Kirk's death, his sponsors were threatening him for inviting Carlson and David Smith on his Turning Point events. And he remembers that Charlie Kirk confessed that a donor had said that he would not fund him for a tune of $2 million because of his stance regarding Israel and also inviting people who criticize Israel. My question is very simple. Why is this Israel government so special that no one can criticize it? Why is it that Americans can criticize their government, but they cannot criticize their Israeli government? You know, when you are a criminal entity, you try to do a lot of marketing. You try to do a lot of marketings to spread your lies. But remember, truth doesn't require to be funded. And you question the motives here. And these are the same people pretend that they loved Charlie Kirk so much and he was a very good person. Yet, we know in secret they were trying to destroy him. In this line, I don't want to make it clear that this doesn't mean that Israeli government was behind his death, or either Bibi or his sponsors were involved. But actually, they made economic threats. We can tell that there are many types of threats. You can do social, where you can say, I'll hurt your family. You can make economic threats where you say, if you continue this way, I'll not give you the money that I've been giving you. So we are talking about economic threats here. And what is happening is that one thing I'm happy about the current American podcasters, especially Candace and Carlson, they have disagreed the propaganda tools. And the media has been lying so long. And now it's clear that we cannot lie again about this because these podcasters can get the information. And I'm happy that it's clear that information is out to the world that Bibi is pretending to love Charlie Kirk so much, while in secret he was trying to destroy Charlie Kirk. Also, now we know that we need to question why is the FBI ignoring some facts and the information that they should be releasing. Why do you think they are ignoring releasing the videos of this guy Tyler Robinson, when climbing stairs? Why are we not getting the videos for this also? Because one thing I would say is, for American government that has lied about 9/11, has lied about Epstein, that had told us that Epstein was acting alone. The same FBI, no, I would rather trust Carlson, Meghan Kelly, and Candace when it comes to this matter, because I know trusting such entity that have lied to you or people who have lied to you earlier is making a very big mistake. And I agree, Carlson not to be so comfortably go on air and say these things if he did have fact. It's true he had fact. And one thing I would say is Israeli government is losing in its PR, in its war against Palestinian and generally globally. Because these are the people who have lied for so long. And sometimes truth fades and the world will see the character you are when you have been lying for a very long time. This is what is happening. And I would like you to tell me, would you trust podcasters like Candace and Tucker Carlson and Meghan Kelly? Or would you trust FBI and the government or Bibi? Let me know in the comment section. I'm your host, James. Let's meet in the next video.